A perspective from a Canadian now. Chris Kilford was the defense attaché at the Canadian Embassy in Ankara from 2011 to 2014. He's now a fellow at the Queen's Centre for International and Defence Policy. He spoke to us from Victoria, BC. Mr. Kilford, given the human rights concerns in Turkey, the reports that perhaps even Fethullah Gulen himself may seek refuge in Canada, I know you've followed Canada's relations with Turkey for some time and been sort of heavily invested, if I can put it in that way. How would you describe relations now?
Relations between Canada and Turkey, I would say, are lukewarm. A few years ago, around 2010, there was a lot of effort put into trying to have a free trade agreement with Turkey. But then other priorities took over, and right now I don't see any move to establishing a free trade agreement with Turkey. I think the relationship is lukewarm, but it's not a bad relationship. It's not a difficult relationship. But I know the Canadian government does have concerns with what's happened in Turkey, especially post the attempted military coup last year.
There are real human rights concerns surrounding all of that. The jailing of journalists, academics being dismissed from their posts, those kinds of situations. Do other countries have any influence on those sort of, I mean, I realize they're an internal thing at this point, but they're of international concern.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The thing is, when you look at Turkish history and you go back to the 1920s and you come forward, there have been so many upheavals in Turkey, military coups that have taken place, and academics being detained, arrested, people going to jail, people disappearing. It just seems to be an unfortunate continuation that we're seeing in 2017. I think the difference today, you know, it's 2017, and of course the coup was in 2016. People don't expect to see these sorts of things happening in a country like Turkey that is a member of NATO, a member of the Council of Europe, and a part of Europe. We just don't expect to see these things, and I think that's what's most worrying for international observers.
We've also seen followers of Gulen, for example, in Canada who say that they feel threatened even though they're living in Canada. To what extent do you think the troubles in Turkey actually reach Canada, the United States?
Well, I think, you know, recently we've seen that the German government has said that Turkey was spying on Gulen members in Germany. As for Turks living here, you know, it's such a complicated situation for them because, you know, first of all, we have Turks that would be Gulen followers or supporters, Turks that would support the government of Bin Ali Yildirim, the AK party, also President Erdogan's party. But then you have other dynamics. You have Alevi Turks, you have Kurdish Turks. So we've been witnessing in the southeast of Turkey some of the most terrible fighting that we've seen in decades between the government and the Kurdish PKK. So all of these dynamics affect how Turks feel here in Canada. It's not a cohesive community by any extent.
What difference could Canada actually make, given the complexity of the situation, as you talked about? Because there's the fight with ISIS that's involved, there's the Kurdish population that's involved, and there are the human rights concerns. Can a country like Canada, or any other for that matter, actually have much influence?
I think what Canada needs to do is, I mean, we need to say, for example, what can we do to help you with the PKK Kurdish issue? Can we take part in any kind of negotiations? Can we help in any way? And then in the wider region, what we're doing in Iraq and Syria right now is so important. When I'm speaking mainly to the military forces we have in the region, we need to bring stability to Syria and Iraq because right now both of those situations are incredibly destabilizing for Turkey.
Mr. Kilford, I thank you very much for your expertise on this.
Thank you.